this is TikTok Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today with this reading all about your inner child. Today we're going to be looking at current state of your inner child, your connection with them, any fears or blocks sort of troubling them at the moment. Then we're going to go into messages from them, anything that they want to bring to your attention, and then we will end the reading by taking a look at any sort of activities or things you can do to help connect with your inner child this week. So in order for you to choose, we have cupcakes today to delineate the piles. The woman at the Greg's had a good time watching me look and decide between all of the very cute toppings they had. So for pile 1, we have a little shark. For pile 2, we have this little unicorn. For pile 3, we have a little rocket ship. And then for pile 4, we have a little mermaid. So take a look at all these piles, pick whichever one resonates most with you. Feel free to hit pause and take as much time as you need to decide. Once you have your pile picked out, let's get started. Hello, pile 1. Thank you so much for joining me today for this reading all about your inner child. We're going to use 3 different decks today. First, we have the Necronomicon that we're going to use to look at the current state of your inner child, any fears that they may be experiencing, or ways that they are not being nourished. Then we're going to use the Waite Tarot deck to look at for any messages from your inner child. And then we're going to end with the Tarot of the Divine to see how you can reconnect with your inner child this week. So let's get started. So off screen, I pulled 3 cards for the state of your inner child and 3 cards for messages for you. So starting with the state of your inner child, we have the 3 of Pentacles, the Fool, and the 2 of Pentacles. So what I'm seeing here is actually a really healthy connection with your inner child. You know, with the Fool, it has a very naive, childlike energy, you know, person being so engrossed, like they're walking off a cliff. The 3 of Pentacles shows me, I think, that you're very collaborative with your inner child. I think you are really connected to your playful side. I think you engage with your inner child as you're sort of mapping out your life. And I think that's a really healthy energy and a healthy relationship. I see here with the 2 of Pentacles, maybe we are starting to feel a little overwhelmed, a little overworked, or maybe that 2 ideas, they're separate, right? Like if you look at the images on this one, normally the 2 of Pentacles is a man juggling 2 coins, but here there's a key over their mind, and then on the left it's stark tentacles versus sort of an external empty planet space. So they're not opposed thoughts, but this feels more like the 2 of Swords, kind of a divide in yourself. Maybe you have this really great connection with your inner child, but that's something you keep for you in your private life, and it's not out there. You're not, really connecting in that way when you are around other people. And that's not to say that you like need to share your inner child, that sort of inner world, with others, but potentially that's something your inner child is trying to, or struggling with, or that they sense you're struggling with. So, and that transitions us into messages from your inner child. We have the Four of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, and Judgment. Okay, seeing the message from your inner child and getting a little clarity on that. I'm seeing that maybe you've been offered an opportunity that is a dream opportunity, something that like you and your inner child are so excited about. But there is sort of a sacrifice required. I think like these two choices, the brain is sort of like, I can stay where I am and like keep this like wealth or the stability that I have, or I can like follow this dream and poverty will ensue. And I think, right, the Two of Pentacles is the concept of balancing. It can be overloaded, but like the idea of like balancing things. But the brain is split. I think this hand is like the inner child trying to like unblock that these two things, it's not an either or, that there's balance. Judgment here, I think this opportunity is a big deal. I think it could have a significant impact on your life, even if the change feels maybe small, like moving into a different department, even at your company, or I mean, that probably wouldn't have quite a big dichotomy on it. But I think any kind of change where maybe you feel that you're starting over, you know, giving up security for like new, and new can be scary because you don't know where new can take you. But I think the message from your inner child is that you should like take this leap, and that we can find a happy middle outside of all this extremes. I think you and your inner child you're a really strong team, and I think it's always scary to be offered the thing that we really want. And your inner child is trying to just let you know that like we can navigate this and we can like live our dream. So now I'm going to draw a few cards to just see how you can connect with your inner child. So first we have the Five of Coins, the Queen of Coins, and the Devil. There's a lot of earth energy in this group. You know, the repeating Five of Coins, a lot of Pentacles, and the Devil is Capricorn energy. So off the bat, I think potentially nature, like kind of just being in your like physical 3D body. And I think with the Five of Pentacles, Queen of Coins, and the Devil, I think the Five of Coins and the Devil on either side of the Queen of Coins, you know, excess versus like scarcity, and the Queen there in the middle as like balance. I think the best way right now where you can connect, or to kind of connect with your inner child a little bit, although you have a great connection, is like, I think, treat yourself to something. I don't want to say frivolous, but I think, yeah, something not practical. I feel like you're gearing up for this change. I think you're worried about hardship. That's fair. It's sort of a tumultuous time as this reading is going up. But I don't think you're in as hard a place. And obviously I think we're not trying to go into excess here. But earth energy feels very sensory. So like maybe buy yourself like a nice meal, like treat yourself to like a new outfit. I think really touching on the physical um well further. I'm just gonna push everything a little bit. Okay. Will really just be a nice time for you and your inner child, an experience, an item, something of that nature. Well, Paiwan, thank you so much for joining me today in this reading. It's been a pleasure spending time with you and your inner child. You guys really have a beautiful like connection. I think that's really nice that you're able to be so in touch with it. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to hear about new readings, and also check me out on TikTok or Instagram for even more tarot content. Until next time, have a good one. Hello, Pile 2. Thank you so much for joining me today in this reading all about your inner child. We're going to be using 3 decks. So the first one is the Necronomicon, where we're going to look at the current state of your inner child, if there's any fears or any blockages that they're sensing right now. The Waite Tarot deck we will use to pull any messages from your inner child, and then we will end the reading with the Tarot of the Divine to look at any sort of activities you can do this week to help, connect you with your inner child a little bit more. So let's get started. Okay, so off screen I pulled from the Necronomicon and the Rider-Waite. So we're going to start with the state of your inner child. So first we have the 9 of Books. We have the 2 of Torches. And we have the Ace of Torches. So what I'm seeing about the current state of your inner child is you have a very creative inner child. I think it's such a strong flame here for the Ace of Torches. I think there is real big fire in them. And currently they are being weighed down by a series of anxieties and fears about what happens when we put your inner child. Your inner child wants to adventure with you, but I see them sort of trapped in this prison of books and prison of the mind. It's not even like, oh, I'm stressed about this one situation, how we handle it. It's like, well, if that happens, then what happens next? What happens next? What happens next? And because of that, they are not able to move. They are very trapped in sort of a spiral when really what they want is to be getting out there with you, adventuring, exploring, trying new things. I think like it's a very like heart and mind dynamic. And instead of, the heart, the mind guiding the heart are working together to build a journey, I think the mind is really trapping the heart. And your inner child is not kind of being able to explore as they would really like to and experience things. Let's look at the messages from your inner child. First, we have the Three of Wands. We have the Nine of Cups. And the Strength card. So for this group, I'm sort of seeing three distinct messages, and they kind of go together, but they're similar, but they're all a little different. So the Three of Wands up here, I think it's really tying to this deep fire inside with inner child. They want to get out there. They want to explore. I don't know, maybe you've been in a rut, or obviously with COVID and things, and the economic situation, we all haven't been able to get out and maybe do as much as we would have liked. And they are really telling you to try and get out there. If you cannot like physically travel, maybe even just exploring your neighborhood or just shaking up the routine. Because they're really asking the question, like, are you really happy with everything? A lot of times with a lot of stresses, it's scary to do new things, step out of the comfort zone. This person here has like 9 cups behind them and they're feeling really good. And it's sort of that energy of like a parent who collects Barbies and all their child wants to do is play with the Barbies. And they're like, no, it's collector's item. And like they are. But I think there's an element of like, maybe you have these things or you have these things that seem superficially good, but they're not something you're engaging with. And are you really happy? I've heard from my personal favorite pick a card tarot, Kino Tarot, that's like the Nine of Cups, that's not the Ten of Cups. And I think your inner child is asking, like, is having all these cups, like, really, really all it's cracked up to be. And then this last message, kind of tying to the get out there message, is, encouragement of your own strength. Another thing with, stress and anxiety, it's like this fear that maybe is instilled in us as children that we can't handle things. We cannot do it. We are not capable. And then we become adults and we still have that mindset. And so I think, looking at this photo, you have the lion that is tamed by the woman. And it honestly looks like a dog here. It's like so excited. It's like so gentle looking. And I think these things that scare us, I think could potentially, we can master them and we can, make it our companion, make it our friend, make it an asset. So those are the messages I'm seeing from your inner child. And let's take a look at how maybe things you can do to connect them starting today or like this week. Take all of those. So first we have the Seven of Pentacles. We have the Five of Wands And lastly, the Nine of Swords. So for things to do to help you like connect with your inner child, when the time of this video is going to be summer, if you're in a place where you're able to have bonfires, or maybe you know, somewhere where there is a fire pit near you, maybe doing a burning ritual to try and just like release some of your anxieties, your fears, your worries, you know, out to the universe. I'm thinking of a very like, you know, tangible to the card, that this burning sort of sacrificial pit on it. In a more kind of abstract way, it could also be starting to plan that trip, that next long-term goal, starting a really big puzzle, or something that you can start to put a little bit of energy in, to start to create. Doing something competitively, even if it's as small as a trivia night. I think getting out, playing, competing, you know, you have a very fiery inner child. I think they like to play. I think they like to win. Your board game night with friends. I think, you know, getting out there and putting yourself out there to compete, and the idea that, you know, winning, you know, can help boost you, or just playing in general can, that active play, that active competitive play, whatever that means to you. And then lastly, with the Four of Swords, this is sort of an aggressive deck looking, but the Four of Swords tends to talk about rest, meditation, maybe taking some quiet time to like sit and try and, through breathing and meditation exercises, try and connect and hear that inner child voice. Could also be with, you know, this wolf on this Four of Swords and this lion on the Strength card. If there you have access to pets, or like if you have a friend or family member, if you have a pet, or, you know, if there's a cat cafe or a little corgi meetup, you know, something to kind of play around with animals. I think animals really help us, you know, relax and connect with that more childlike instinct. So yeah, those are things you can start to look into, start to do to help better connect you and your inner child. Well, Pile 2, thank you so much for joining me today in this reading. It's been a pleasure to spend time with you and your inner child, and reading their fiery, spicy energy. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to hear about new readings, and also check me out on TikTok or Instagram for even more tarot content. Until next time, have a good one. Hello, Pile 3. Thank you so much for joining me today for this reading all about your inner child. We're using 3 different decks in this reading today. The first is the Necronomicon Tarot to take a look at the state of your inner child, any fears or blockages they're feeling, and their connection with you. We're going to use the Waite Tarot deck to get any messages from your inner child. And lastly, we will use the Tarot of the Divine to look at some activities you can start engaging with, to help better strengthen your connection with your inner child. That all being said, let's get started. Okay, off screen, I pulled the tarot cards for the state of your inner child and messages from your child. So starting with the Necronomicon on the state of your inner child, we have the Two of Torches. We have the Queen of Books and the Nine of Books. So pile 3, what I'm seeing is your inner child is quite locked up, you know. There are many, many doors, maps are needed, chains being held kept. Like, your inner child is feeling very trapped. I'm actually gonna see what is the fear that's keeping them so trapped. I really like this deck, but he doesn't shuffle good. We have, I'm going to move this up, the Knight of Books. I think this is the voice or the energy that keeps this inner child at bay. I don't know if you had a very stern male authority figure in your life, or maybe a teacher or something, and he has become sort of the gatekeeper of your inner child that keeps it kind of locked away. There are it's a lot to get to them. They're feeling very caged at the moment. Yeah. There's a very loud critic that keeps your inner child. And let's look at the messages and kind of see if we can put more of this together. So for messages, you have the Four of Swords, Two of Swords, and the Eight of Pentacles. So there's a lot of air energy in the cards being shown here. I think a hard decision was made to be practical. Again, probably driven by this very strong inner critic voice. It has led to a very dormant inner child. There's quite a disconnect here. Just gonna swirl these around. You know, the Two of Swords is usually like a hard decision, and it's like we have to work or we have to rest. And it's really linear thinking. I think the message from your inner child in the first step of quieting this critic is to remove this thinking. This black and white, very hard black and white thinking of like rest or work, you know. Yeah, this is evocative of like a tomb and stuff, and so you're just like, it's like rest and death or like work, and with the Eight of Pentacles, it's success. And I think there's very black or white thinking going on, spurred on by this inner critic that's keeping your inner child at play. And if you think in those black or white terms, and I know I really struggle with this, I think it prevents play and taking chances, trying things, because, right, the thought is there's a right answer, there's a wrong answer, and the wrong answer is failure, it's bad. We can't afford to like be wrong, so we move in this way that is practical, that is how we believe we should be moving, and not necessarily what our inner child or like what we want. I feel like this is like, it feels like kind of a heavy message, but you know, there is a map. You know, you inside have a map to your inner child. They're always there, you know. They are they are hiding because that's what makes them feel safe. But we, you know, through our choices, through our working, you know, with ourselves, you know, we can create the safety they need to quiet this critic, quiet this like all or nothing thinking, and really, you know, find balance in ourselves, find balance with our passions, and really embrace that. So let's move on to the Tarot of the Divine and see like what can you start doing to really help you free, release this inner child. So first we have the Four of Coins. I'm just gonna put this over here. We have Temperance, and we have the Knight of Cups. Oh, I want to do this. I'm just going to move everything around a little bit. So with the Four of Coins and Temperance, I think the first thing you can start doing is taking time a little bit every day to sort of just sit with yourself. Temperance is about meditation, or, you know, I think meditation or balance. You know, there's a lot of noise in the day, a lot of things that call our attention, a lot of things, back over, a lot of things that like feed the inner critic narrative of like, we don't have time. You know, we can't focus on other things because all these other things need our attention. And, you know, we are overloaded with responsibilities, but, you know, we can always dip a little toe into the water and take time to find peace with ourselves. And I think with the Four of Coins, right, this little girl is the inner child in you, the roles are in this, but the idea that like really thinking about what you need to feel safe, you know, a lot of times if we grow up feeling unsafe or, you know, we're creatively rejected or things in any nature, our interests in that way, we might not, we know inside what safety feels like, but, you know, we start to associate what we are accustomed to with the comfort, and that's not always the case. So I think really taking the time to be with ourselves, think about our needs and how we can start to create that, you know, where we can in our lives. There's birds on these two, which makes me think of like messengers. So maybe, you know, reaching out to friends or finding, you know, new community. But birds make me think of like communication. So, you know, if you've been thinking about getting engaged in social media to, you know, with your interests or, you know, joining different groups, I think, yeah, going forward on that is a good way to, you know, connect with your child, being able to express yourself, no matter what it is you want to express. I think that's really healthy. And I think also with the Knight of Cups and Temperance, water can be very healing. Water can be very soothing. So if you live near a body of water, taking a trip out there, going, being in it, or a pool, or if you have access to that, or, you know, if you have access to, you know, take a bath or just like a long shower, just like really embracing kind of the water and that restorative energy, restorative nature to that. So yeah, for this group, I really feel like taking a lot of quiet time to reconnect with yourself, to help quiet the parole officer inner critic that is kind of keeping your inner child, you know, very much at bay, and to help release yourself of this all or nothing, all or nothing energy. And I feel like coins is earth energy, cups is water energy, and I think there's a real need to connect physically with the body, with the self, and in quiet moments and spending that time with yourself. Well, pile three, thank you so much for joining me today for this reading. It's been a pleasure to spend time with you and your inner child. I hope you are able to take some positives from this. I think that you have an inner child that like just wants to help you play, help you release, help you relax, and I think that's really beautiful. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to hear about new readings, and also check me out on TikTok or Instagram for even more tarot content. Until the next time, have a good one. Hello, Pile 4. Thank you so much for joining me today for this reading all about your inner child. We'll be using 3 different tarot decks. The first one is the Necronomicon, which we will use to look at sort of the state of your inner child, any fears or blockages, what's kind of going on with them. And then we will look at the messages from your inner child using the Waite tarot deck, and then we will end using the Tarot of the Divine to see what sort of activities you can start integrating today to help you better connect with your inner child. So let's get started. So off screen, I pulled the cards from the Necronomicon and the Rider-Waite to look at the state of your inner child and messages from them. So we're going to start with the Necronomicon. We're going to start with the Necronomicon and see. So we have the Seven of Torches. We have Authority. And we have the Void. So what I'm seeing here, these two major arcana and the Seven of Torches. Because there has been a lot to sort of attack your inner child. I think, I don't know if you are transitioning maybe from, home to college or college to the real world, or maybe like moving from your parents to living on your own. Sort of the transition of external worry, expectations, society, parents, mentors, teachers, it's authority, and trying to, I think only some of us are some are so lucky as to have just, such support for the inner child. I think a lot of us face at a certain point, where these authority figures are like, okay, but it's time to grow up now, and the wants of the self aren't as important, and that's something that your inner child has to fight against, that you are fighting against. And then you have the void, which leads to a more internal struggle, existentialism, what does it matter what my inner child wants, who am I, and all those sort of deep questions. And I think your inner child has been able to stave off a lot of this. I think the connection you have with them is strong. But with the Seven of Wands or Torches in this deck, to continue to shore it up, that space that you hold for yourself, for you've had strong boundaries so far around them, and that's so amazing. And it never hurts to reshore up. So I think there's a lot going on out in the world and in the self. That sort of picking at your inner child, but they are a little fighter, and the flame of their creativity and their spark, their joy, is very much protected. So let's use that to look at the messages. So we have the Queen of Cups. We have the Hierophant. And we have the Ten of Wands. Like I said over here, like your child's been defending against a lot, and I do think they are letting you know you're carrying too much of a load. I often think, with access to so much, are we really meant to carry the weight of all that knowledge? And I think the idea that we carry burdens, that we can't impact, and we should, work to change and do what we can, but we don't need to carry all of these sticks. It's not necessary. And I think that would really help, if we're not taking so much in and having to, you know, shoulder the weight of responsibilities beyond ourselves, I think it's easier to connect with ourselves in that way. And I think the other message with the Queen of Cups and the Hierophant sort of structure and emotional, I think they are just sort of praising you. Like I said, I think there's been a lot of external and internal struggles that, you know, because of boundaries you've set up for yourself and the, you know, the connection, the respect you have with your inner child, with yourself, you've, I think, really been able to hold space for yourself and your feelings and feel them, and keep in touch with this childlike essence of yourself while, you know, moving and growing in sort of these practical societal ways. So I think they're letting you know that you don't have to carry everything, but, you know, how proud they are of the balance you've really struck and what you've done to protect that in such a structured world. All right, so seems like you have a pretty good relationship with your child, but if there's any activities or things that you can do to better further connect with them. We have the Four of Cups. We have the Four of Cups. The Six of Cups. And the Star. I think all of these cards are kind of tying into a central idea of sort of embracing more simple things. Really this Six of Cup energy, which is like childhood nostalgia, kind of embracing some of those things that you really enjoyed as a kid. You know, when we become adults and have adult money, we like kind of focus on better, newer, or whatever, but sometimes, you know, sometimes the old is nice. It's nice to reconnect in that way, you know. It's like an example that's coming to mind is like, yeah, it's nice to go to like a fancy dinner, but sometimes Taco Bell is great. It's just, you know, sometimes Taco Bell just hits. Which I don't really associate Taco Bell with childhood, but it's sort of that vibe. I think, you know, maybe thinking about just something you really enjoyed doing, like coloring, or a meal that you liked, or a game that you really liked to play as a child. I think just like kind of embracing some kind of simple pleasure. I think it seems like you're very busy, you have a lot on your plate, and I think kind of taking a little time out, take a little step back in time, watch an old TV show that you like, kind of really embrace something from your youth. Another thing, maybe if, depending on where you live, if it's something you can do easily, like going to like a park or a hike out in nature. I think, you know, the Four of Cups emphasizes the cup behind, or in this case, the bird behind, and, you know, so much flowers, and at the time this video is going up, it is spring, but so if you're seeing this when the weather is nice and flowers are blooming, just kind of getting out there, even to like a park or a walk around your neighborhood. I think sort of, yeah, again, stopping and smelling the roses, like trying to find and embrace some simple pleasures would help, you know, rejuvenate your inner child who, has to fight off against a lot of forces. So to refill your cup in that way. I think is a good way to connect with them. Well, Pile 4, thank you so much for joining me today for this reading. It's been a pleasure to spend time with you and your inner child's energy. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to hear about new readings, and also check me out on TikTok or Instagram for even more tarot content. Until next time, have a good one.